everybody back home in Europe and in the US. It is Sunday and it's afternoon here and I'm going for a walk because it's a beautiful day outside, so why not? One thing I want to talk about is my experience and the difference between American football and rugby, because this is probably one of the most frequent questions I get asked. Now, to start this video off, I will say this. I play rugby 15s and I play rugby 7s. And I played American football in, I think, 6 or 7 different countries, probably more, including the US. So there is a huge difference between the games, but I have a totally different opinion about it. When I first jumped into rugby, the speed and the skill set wasn't an issue. The issue with me were just the rules. It took me a while to understand the rules and how the game really worked, but I think the third game of the season, I started to understand more on how to play the game of rugby. So rugby doesn't stop. It doesn't matter if you're injured or what. Like, the game really doesn't stop like that for real. Compared to American football, you know, reset of downs, after the play's done, go to the huddle or no huddle, whatever you do. So we had our American football rivalry game versus the Wild Boars last week, and I couldn't leave the field. So I didn't get tired, played the whole game because rugby helps. Like, as for rugby, like, I'm always on the pitch, so, and the game doesn't stop. So I guess I came very, very well conditioned before the season. So it just carried over to football and it's easy. Another thing that was like a huge difference was the speed of the game, because honestly, things happen so fast in 15s and 7s, and 7s is a much more faster game on a wider pitch. So it was a high scoring game in 7s. and 15s, it was like, it didn't matter if you were fast or if you were slow. If you didn't understand the game or what was going on, things could happen very, very fast. It didn't matter if you were big or small. It was crazy. Look at this. As y'all know, I'm in Belgrade, Serbia right now, playing for Rugby, Belgrade. And the speed of the game here is like 10 times slower. Everything is slow developing and stuff. And it's just like, I could just sit back and watch everything and it feels like a long time. So compared to rugby, I couldn't do that. I couldn't. Telling you, like, you could tell who the 7s players are in the 15s because the speed is just different. You know, usually the faster guys are on the offense, or as they call it in Poland, the attack, and the win are more the bigger guys. Honestly, the speed compared to American football and rugby may vary from country to country when it comes to American football. Well, just both, actually. I'm not gonna sit there and lie. It may depend, or it may vary. Depends on which country you're in, but what I've experienced is rugby is a lot more faster pace and stuff like that. Another big question I get is, what's harder to play, football or rugby? Rugby is a lot more brutal because, one, you aren't wearing protection. Number two, metal cleats are allowed, and I've seen guys get their faces stepped on. But American football is much more tough when it comes to learning playbooks and stuff like that. Yeah, the hits in American football are a lot more harder, I would say. But rugby is just more raw for some reason. So that's kind of a question that's hard to answer, if you want me to be honest. Another thing that was a huge difference was like tackling. So the difference between tackling in rugby and American football was, it was really, really hard to tackle in rugby because there was nothing to grab, such as, like, you know, shoulder pads or nothing like that. You really had to wrap up in rugby. But it was like, it's much more easier in American football to make a tackle because you have cloth to grab, you know, shoulder pads, you know, it's just, you could tackle anywhere on the body except, you know, here, as you know, the horse collar, face mask, all that stuff. But in rugby union, which we play union in Poland, you can't tackle above chest level. So it really made you wrap up. Rugby really makes you wrap up and make a tackle. So honestly, that was just my personal opinion about the differences between the two sports. To each his own, just try it and see. That's all I can tell you. Like, yeah, American football isn't big in Europe, but it's actually growing in Europe. But rugby is just much more exciting if you know and understand the game, if that makes sense.